I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on the Spotlight Network, we're breaking down the battlefield of business with Dr. Raymond Costabile. He is the author of a powerful book that is called The Box is Time. With decades of leadership, both in medicine and the military, the doctor shares a high-performance system for time mastery rooted in precision, discipline, and real-life experience. Whether you're running a hospital, a business, or just your daily routine, this bold, no-fluff guide is your new playbook for getting time back on your side. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank the team at Atticus Publishing for helping us put him in the spotlight today. And we ask viewers like you to support authors like him by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing his amazing book. The links are below the interview. And be sure to download the Spotlight Network TV app streaming on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire TV. Doctor, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
Thanks, Logan, for having me. I mean, you're using your time to put up with me today, so I appreciate that.
Absolutely. My sign off, by the way, is always, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time until next time on Spotlight. So obviously time is important to me. Some people get it, some people don't. Some people are chronically late. Others people are like myself. I'm generally a half hour early for everything. Why do you think that is? Why do you think some people have a great respect for time and other people don't?
I think they just don't see it. I think the people that don't understand time are just not aware of it. They're not aware of the fact that it's limited,
Yeah.
and it is the only, we can't control it. But that's not true, we can. So they just wander through without any plans about what to do with their time. Whereas those who, like yourself, who are really good at staying on time and being efficient, look inwardly at what they do with their time.
Yeah. And it's amazing that that people don't respect time, because I always say to my children when they started their careers that the one thing tangible that people can hold against you at the workplace is, are you on time? You know, everything else is a perception. The one thing that actually can be measured is your timeliness. Do you agree with that?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, but do you really think all leaders are aware of timeliness? I mean, I don't think they are.
No.
And I think that I was always cognizant of it. And as you've read my book and know my career in the Army, if you're late in the Army, you're dead.
Yeah.
And so, time was very important. But I don't think leaders and I don't think managers and everybody understands that. They just don't get it. So you're right. It's the one way you can be measured time and time again. But I don't think everyone does.
Yeah, agreed, agreed. I think it's almost like 50-50. Some people are chronically late, other people are very precise and are on time. If you are in the middle and you'd like to be a timely person, what are some of the steps you can take to help you manage your time better?
Well, the first thing you have to do is be aware of what's going on. Okay. Just sit down and say, okay, what have I got going around me in terms of time? Just be mindful
Mhm.
of time. And, I describe this concept as that of a box that we're all stuck in. We're
Mhm.
all stuck in this finite box. And it's not a spatial box, it's a temporal box. And I measure my box by, 24-hour days, 7-day weeks,
Mhm.
365 days. And I can't get outside my box. There isn't. I can't create more time.
Mhm.
I can't build it or buy it. It's just there, and I'm aware of it. And so I think the first step really is be aware that you're stuck in this box.
Mhm.
Be aware that you can't make more of it. So you've got to do the best in managing it that you can. And just that awareness, I think, really gets you a long way to being toward that side, that spectrum, as you say, where you're more time efficient than those who are not.
Let me wax philosophical for a moment about time. When I was younger, like, a grade school student, and I didn't care about time, time seemed endless. Your summer vacations, when you weren't aware of the 24 hours, the 7 days a week, the 30 days a month, your June and July off, or June, July, and August off, seemed like they were endless. Once you become aware of time and you're already calculating what's going to happen in September and October after this meeting in June, time seems like it is very, very fleeting. How do you handle that paradox?
Yeah, well, I think you hit it on the head. When you're an infant, you have no knowledge of time.
Yeah.
The only thing that controls your time is your physiologic needs.
Hmm.
You're not aware of it. You're barely self-aware. But you have to eat, you have to poop, you have to sleep, and that's it. And as you said, as you grow older, there's other stuff going in your box. You
Hmm.
go to school, you play little league, you're playing lacrosse. Whatever you're doing starts filling your box up, and you start figuring out that it's limited and that you better find some way of dealing with it, or you don't, and everything goes awry.
Exactly. You will pay the price, the consequences of being late or not doing as much as you could with the time that you have. Like you said, it is a finite amount of time, and nobody knows how much time we actually have. Um, let's talk about your book a little bit. You call yourself a recovering procrastinator. Tell us about that aspect of your life.
Yeah, well, and people always asked, how can you be so good at this time efficient thing? I mean, you've been to doctors, you've been to dentists, you sat in the waiting room for 30 minutes, 50 minutes, 60 minutes, 2 hours, whatever, waiting for your 15-minute appointment. I have to, but not in my clinic.
Mm.
My clinic, if you've got an 8 o'clock appointment, you're in there at 8 o'clock
Yeah.
over and over for decades. And other people have said, well, how can you do that? How are you able to do that? And so I thought about it. I said, well, okay, how can I do this? How can I always be on time? And I realized that I wasn't born this way.
Mm.
Okay. I wasn't born this way. I started just like everyone else, all-nighters in college,
Mhm.
studying Sunday night for the Monday morning exam, not at all a time fascist. Okay. I mean, I really was just like everyone else on the planet. And then I got in the Army when I was 17, and I realized that time was everything. I tell a story in the book, it's very accurate, that I was a young lieutenant. I came in 5 minutes late for a briefing by the battalion commander. And I said, sorry, sir, I'm late. And he said, no, Lieutenant, you're dead.
Mhm.
And I thought, what? Well, that's an interesting analogy, but it wasn't an analogy. It wasn't at all an analogy. And so I thought, wow, time is really important. And just like in your profession, if I was late, something didn't happen, something bad could happen. And so I carried that through and studied it and looked at it, and it became a natural part of my character.
Mm.
And then more and more people wanted to know how I could do that. What was I doing to make myself more efficient?
Yeah. It's amazing you also have much less anxiety when you're on time. I mean, that's the reason why I'm timely also, is because I don't like to be worried whether I'm going to make it. If I know a drive is 57 minutes to get to, a certain part of downtown, I'm going to leave myself an hour and a half just in case I encounter traffic or something. And I build that into my time schedule. So for me, it's a comfort level as well.
Mhm.
Talk to us a little bit about the sand and water metaphor that you use to describe how people fill their time.
Okay, sure. And I'm a very simple guy. I'm a surgeon. Other than scalpels, they won't give us anything sharp like pencils. We have to use crayons. So the simpler an analogy I can get, the better. So I realized, once I realized I was in this box of time that was the ultimate limit to productivity, and I couldn't get out of the box, I started thinking, what's in the box? What fills the box up? Because they're
Mhm.
different things. And so the first concept is, as you said, this concept of sand.
Mhm.
Sand is heavy, sand is important, it grounds us. And sand in the box of time is the stuff you have to do. You have to eat, you have to sleep, you have to exercise, you have to take care of your family.
Mhm.
Sex is in there, certainly.
Yeah.
I'm a urologist, so sex is very important. Um, but that's the sand in the box, the stuff you really have to function.
Mm.
And you really can't control it. It can be taken away from you. I
Mhm.
mean, on nights when I was on call, my sleep sand got taken away many times.
Yeah.
When I was in Iraq for the war, and we had a lot of casualties, my sand got taken away. My sleep
Mm,
got taken away. I couldn't eat. But mostly that's what grounds us. And that's what you have to have. You got to protect it.
mm,
But that takes up maybe a third of the box. The rest of the box is filled with water. This is the stuff that comes and goes that may be necessary or may not be necessary. This is stuff you pour inside your box, or your boss pours inside your box, or
mm,
your kids pour inside the box. And that can be controlled.
mm.
And that should really be carefully monitored because that determines how full your box is at any given time.
Gotcha. And understanding those components will help you manage your time better, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You want to protect your sand, make sure
Mm,
you get your sleep, make sure you get your exercise, you take care of yourself, take care of your family. And you want to make sure there's not too much water in your box, which you can control. You can prevent people from pouring it in. You can prevent yourself from pouring it in, or
mm.
you can let it out.
Yeah,
You can let some of that water out to keep controlling it. And as you say, you'll have less anxiety. The people around you will be more confident.
yeah.
I mean, my nurses, when they first encounter me, just think I'm a crazed time lunatic. That I'm watching the computer, I'm watching the EMR all the time. If someone's 5 minutes late, I'm saying, give them a call, find out where they are.
Right.
But then they learn that if I manage that for me, I'm managing it for them too.
Yeah,
They're going to
exactly.
get lunch. They're going to get lunch. They're going to go home on time, and they love it. They are
Yeah.
absolutely super, super comfortable with it.
Yeah, it's a machine. All the gears have to be lined up correctly. If somebody's missing, there's a cog missing in the wheel and there's a problem. Talk to us a little bit about who the two percenters are and how we can think like them.
Well, I say two percenters because that's a well understood concept for most of us. 2% of the people in any organization do 80% of the work.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's true everywhere. And I really think those two percenters are the ones that figure out this time concept.
Mm,
They are the ones that are so efficient because they're watching their time, they're managing their water, they're managing the water of those they work with, those they work for, and those who work for them.
mm.
And so, like you said, everything runs like a well-oiled machine
Yeah.
because those 2% get time.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Talk to us, and it's a pet peeve of mine because I see it in businesses all the time. The problems with excessive meetings and committees. I mean, I'm on your side here. I think they're a complete waste of time most of the time. I rather the boss come out and say, we're doing A, B, and C. Let's go do it, boys and girls. Rather than, well, what do you think? You know,
Yeah,
what do you
yeah,
think?
maybe that
Yeah,
might work, or maybe not. What does everyone in the room think, right? And then you
right.
get off your Facebook feed and actually try and participate. Yeah, meetings where great ideas go to die, and that is so true. I mean, what's the purpose of a meeting? Have you ever sat back, or has anyone in an organization sat back and thought, what's the purpose of a meeting? Why
To
do
be
we
the
have them?
smartest person in the room. That's
That's
the
what
purpose.
that's
Yeah.
what most of us egomaniacs think, right?
Yeah.
We have to, the what I call a spring butt, that's the one person that has a spring in his butt that has to stand up and
Yeah.
answer a
Mm.
question or hear his or her own voice.
Yep.
But um, really, if you ever ask yourself that, why do we have meetings?
Yeah.
Well, in my mind, the only reason to have a meeting is you have to have a purpose to get people together,
Mhm.
to interact, to solve a problem. That's the purpose of a meeting. We have to be here to get a specific problem or set of problems and come up with a solution and at least move the organization forward a little bit more by the end of the meeting.
Mm.
That's my definition of why we should have a meeting. Now, that's not why meetings are held.
Right.
Meetings are held because there's always been a meeting at 2 o'clock every Tuesday. There's always
Exactly.
been that. And so
Right.
everybody shows up at 2 o'clock for that meeting.
Right.
That's not the purpose of meetings. That's a
Exactly.
total waste of time.
But also, you and I are in tangible fields. That's part of it. You're a doctor. You actually have measured outcomes. People are going to live, they're going to die, they're going to get the surgery right, they're going to get the surgery wrong, they're going to be waiting a long time in your waiting room, whatever the case might be. A lot of people don't have defined responsibilities. A lot of the corporate life is fluff. A lot of it is filling that 40-hour week. And that's why I think you have these meetings that are complete time wasters. What say you, Doc?
Yeah, I think so. You get in a rut. You get in a
Yeah,
rut that this is what we do. The
yeah.
meeting is what we do, and then we have a committee, and then if the committee can't figure it out, we get a task force, and then if the task force struggles with the problem, then we hire a consultant
Like,
and bring the consultant into our productivity lifestyle, whatever we do, whether we make cogs or whether we mine uranium or whatever we do, we have to do this cycle,
yeah,
and quite frankly, 90% of it is worthless. It doesn't get
agreed,
us anywhere.
agreed.
It really doesn't, and it is a big part of the corporate culture that is totally ineffective.
Exactly, exactly. And a huge time waster. And time, as we said, is precious. Time is limited. Time is finite. Don't waste your time. Start managing your time better. The name of the book is The Box is Time. With decades of leadership in both medicine and the military, the doctor shares a high performance system for time mastery rooted in precision, discipline, and real life experience. Whether you're running a hospital, a business, or just your daily routine, this bold, no fluff guide is your new go to playbook for getting things done on time and getting time back on your side. Doctor, thank you so much for joining me here today on Spotlight.
Oh, you're very welcome, Logan. Thank you for having me and using your time.
I appreciate your wit, your wisdom, and thank you for your time. And to the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time. This time, until next time on Spotlight.